will become of the hobo whenever his time comes to die. And there's a master up yonder in heaven.
We are here with Britt Gully. Britt is a Mississippi native and a star of music to many of us, and we are grateful that you're on the road in between.
Boy, I'm happy to be here. Y'all show is fun. I'm having a big time today.
Well, thank you, thank you. Well, we're going to start out finding out who Britt Gully is, and then I know you're also interested in Jimmie Rodgers and his music and how it influenced a lot of people, but tell us about Britt.
So I went to Mississippi State and majored in geology and learned a good bit about it and hadn't used it at all. Come back home, played music, raised cows, and piddled around on the rural route.
I understand you're really bright though. You were top of your class.
Yeah, I was in the top of my class. Yeah, I don't think that's doing me much good right now.
But you wanted to come back home.
Yeah, I couldn't thrive anywhere else.
And tell us about your music.
My music is anybody's music is good is a reflection of where they're from, who they are, what you know, and that's what it is with me. And you know, I love Jimmie Rodgers, and I love Hank Williams, and I love Waylon Jennings, and I love Muddy Waters, and everything that you like influences you a little bit, but then you put what you know into it. Mm-hmm. And I write a bunch of gospel songs and country songs and rockabilly. If you scare me, if you startle me, I revert to rockabilly for some reason. I go to Carl Perkins just like that.
How about that?
But a lot of my stuff shows that up. And
well, you learned to ride a horse before you learned to ride a bicycle.
Yeah, I owned a horse all my life and used to stay on them all the time. And my little boy Wills decided we need horses, so I guess we're fixing to get back in. But yeah, I kept a horse tied all the time. I was 13 years old before I ever learned how to ride a bicycle. Because I kept a horse sitting there all the time.
How about that?
I ain't just playing it, this country boy. Tom.
You are a country boy.
I am a country boy.
Yes, you are. We love that about you. Well, you've got a new CD that you made.
Yeah, a couple of years ago. Alan Dale was behind the project. He produced the album, and he'd been after me for years to record Jimmie Rodgers stuff. And Jimmie was such a wonderful singer. And I said, well, what's the point in doing that? And you know, every time I'd bump into him, he'd say, you thought any more about that? You thought any more about that? And then one night he mentioned it to me. He said, you know, we wouldn't do it just like that. We'd sort of do it our own rough and rowdy way. And I said, well, Alan, you may be right. So we got to calling the friends of ours around and talking to different people. And Alan put out the word to some folks in Nashville, and there were several folks wanted in on it. So we got 3 Grammy winners on it with us. And we gathered up, knew how we wanted it to sound, and the people we wanted to use were close in here for the most part, and we could make it sound the way we wanted to. And a lot of folks think Jimmie's stuff was just him and the guitar, but Jimmie used orchestras and horn sections and all kind of stuff. The first steel guitar used on a country record, Jimmie put it on there. He was experimenting, so we kind of experimented and done it the way we thought it should be sounding for now. You know, we remain true to the sound of it and the spirit of it. But
and you came in late at night, right?
Yeah,
here
we slipped out here and done this. We would do it on the weekends and late at night, and there were a couple of interesting things happened out here next to this place late at night. Had to bring your slingshot with you to come out here. Squirrels might get after you.
That's right. Now you're able to play the actual original?
Yeah, we played that
guitar.
So according to Martin, that's the most valuable guitar in the world, and because of everything and it's a wonderful piece, and then everything it was in on, and everything it saw, and it was so influential. And it was just an honor, and I didn't hit one lick on that thing that I didn't realize. This is it right here, and it's been somewhere, and it's done some things.
All the roads it's traveled.
Yeah.
Tell us about Jimmie Rodgers. What's your thoughts on him?
Well, like Bob Dylan said, he's the man started it all. You know, music was just fun and a pastime and that kind of stuff, and it got a hold to Jimmie, and Jimmie was kind of speaking for the people. He was saying what the people were thinking at the time, and it took off. And Ralph Peer with the Victor Recording Company saw there's money to be made with this, Jimmie, for the first time ever. And Jimmie sold 1 million of 78 records on T for Texas in 1929. You know, folks wasn't making any money, but they would come up with 75 cents to go buy a Jimmie Rodgers 78. And it's just amazing that he took over the world from right here in Meridian.
How about that?
And you can't ever overstate it or overplay it. There wasn't anybody ahead of Jimmie Rodgers. I guess somebody might have cropped up somewhere and done something similar later on, but they didn't. Jimmie done it from right here.
Right here.
Right here.
And since a place is very important to Jimmie and also very important to you.
Yeah, you sing what you know, you play what you know, you write what you know. And Jimmie was coming from his railroad background and his country boy, small town boy background, and that's folks know when something's sincere.
Yes.
And it's got to be the truth for the folks to believe it.
That's right. Now his mother died when he was what, 6 or 7? Is that right?
Really young, of tuberculosis.
How about that?
And probably where Jimmie caught it from her, and he suffered with it till he died when he was 35, I believe.
Young. Now Hank Williams Sr., he was young too.
29.
29.
29 years old.
And the influence and the legacy that they left behind.
Yeah. Hank Williams wrote, I Don't Care If Tomorrow Never Comes, when he was 17 years old.
Gosh.
That's a whole lot better than this singing about dancing and riding around in your truck that you hear on the radio now.
That's right. That's right. Big difference.
Stuff. Yeah.
Big difference. Well, I know that the train story was a big part of Jimmie.
Yeah, Jimmie's daddy and his uncle were railroad men, and Jimmie ran off with a traveling medicine show, a tent show. He won a talent contest, and his daddy sent somebody to bring him back home, and he told him, son, you either going to school or you going to work for my section crew on the railroad. So school didn't work for him, so he went out there with the railroad, the track laying crew. And it was a bunch of blacks that was playing music a lot. When they'd take a break, they'd grab out a banjo and a guitar and they'd play. And Jimmie was already headed that direction, and he swallowed it whole and jumped in it. And I guess that's where he got his bluesy kind of influence and all. But you know, there wasn't any categories back then. Everybody was just making music, and that seeped into him from that angle, and he just rolled it all together and throwed it out there, writing what he knew, what he come from. It's all kind of wonderful stuff in here, and of course the old records, but what everybody is so amazed by is Jimmie's 1927 Martin guitar. And I used it on the album, and it's a wonderful old piece, and Jimmie had the fanciest one made that anybody could have. That was the first famous instrument there, but that guitar was famous on its own. And after Jimmie died, everybody was under the influence of Jimmie Rodgers, all these country music singers and wannabes and all. And Ernest Tubb had a show out in Texas, a radio show, and he made contact with Jimmie's widow. And would you please tune in and listen to my show? I do a lot of your husband's songs, and let me know what you think of it. Well, she liked it a lot, and they became good friends, and she told Ernest that she wanted him to take that guitar out on the road and play it.
Wow.
So Ernest kept that thing on the road 40 years, I think.
Unbelievable. Playing
it, and had that pick guard put on it because he thought he was scratching a hole through it with his guitar pick. But
now, what kind of wood is used for this guitar?
It's Brazilian rosewood is the back, and that's the best thing you can make a guitar out of, and it's endangered now, and they can still come by a little bit of it every now and then. And the top spruce and the neck's mahogany, and it was just really put together well. And guitars age, and things get better about them as they dry out, and they will, if they're not played for a long time, they call it going to sleep. And this one hadn't been played in a long time, and when we checked it out and figured out that it would be able to stand being played and recorded and put a new set of strings on it, it woke back up. And there's a song or instrumental tune on the CD called Waking Up Jimmie's Guitar. And it sounded way better. We were, over about a month, I guess, we recorded. It sounded way better at the end than it did at the beginning. It woke it back up.
How about
and it got louder and more bassy. And
It's got a life of its own.
Yeah, yeah, it's a wonderful old piece, and all the time I was playing, I was just thinking, who all has had a hold of this thing? You know, Ernest Tubb kept it out there, and you know, everybody said, let me hold Jimmie Rodgers' guitar. You know, they were all, that was the holy grail. So I bet Hank Williams played that guitar too.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a wonderful old piece, and it was such an honor to get to play it and record with it.
Golly, what an honor. Yeah, it's like the resurrection has been resurrected.
It has, it has. It's we played it, I don't know, 15 years ago, maybe a little better, one day out at the graveside service. They brought it out there for me to play and sing a song on it, and I didn't tune it way up, nowhere close to standard. I just got where he could, didn't go all the way to pitch with it. Played a song on it, and there were some Australians out there, and they just wanted to come up, can I touch it, can I touch it? And it was just like touching the hem of Jesus' garment. If they could touch Jimmie Rodgers' guitar, they were fixed.